my motto is work hard, play hard. And, we only have one life to live, and it can change in the blink of an eye. And I saw that with my parents. My dad was fine one day, and the next day he was not, and he was never fine again. So if you can do it, do it. Say yes, do it, try it, do anything you can do. And because one day you're not going to get a choice.
Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denise Satova. And today we are diving deep with a powerhouse attorney, Siobhan O'Grady. She's a partner at Miller Zeiderman. And she's not just about courtrooms and legal briefs. She's got a heart of gold. And she definitely has a story that will inspire you. Siobhan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Denise, for having me. And thank you for those kind words. I'm thrilled to be here with you.
Likewise. So, this is an opportunity for me to also get to know you even better. We've had a little bit, some conversation a while back. But I'm intrigued. Tell me, how did you get into the law? What inspired you? Tell me your story.
So it was funny. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in law school, in undergrads, actually. I really didn't know, and I couldn't figure it out. And I took a criminal law class, and I just immediately knew right away this is what I was going to do. And I ended up pursuing that after graduation. After I graduated law school, I was a prosecutor for 6 years in the city. And then I had always had contact in family court. I was a prosecutor in family court. I had interned in family court in law school, and I just was drawn to it. So when I left the prosecutor's office, I ended up rounding back to family court, and I worked with the judge that I had worked with as an intern. She was now a Supreme Court judge, and as part of that, I worked in family law and matrimonial work. I worked briefly with a child protective services agency, doing neglect and abuse matters, which was all in family court, which was very tough work. And then I ended up actually being a court attorney in family court for several years before I started with Miller Zeiderman. So I have always sort of had that tie to family court. I think it's probably the most important court in the state. The most important issues are dealt with in family law and matrimonial law. You see people at their worst and sometimes at their best. But that's sort of how I navigated into it. It wasn't something I ever knew I wanted to do until I kind of got my foot in the door and started it.
What's the toughest part of this work, would you say?
Oh, I would say it's the emotions. Um, you're dealing with people's lives, and for them, everything is a crisis and everything's an emergency. And for us, most matrimonial attorneys are very busy, and there's a lot of cases and there's a lot of volume, and the courts are pulling at you and the clients are pulling at you. So sometimes, you can't give the client the immediate response or the immediate attention. And for them, every single issue that comes up in the context of their divorce or their family court case is a crisis. And I think they have huge emotions when it comes to kids. And you have to really deal with that. I think that's probably the hardest part for me, is dealing with the emotions that come with all the issues and trying to navigate the cases and trying to stay focused on the important legal aspects while also managing the client's emotions and trying to keep them calm and understanding that it's a process, and it's not, unfortunately, sometimes not a fast process.
No, and if this goes to trial, I mean, there's a lot of preparation involved because you have now someone's future life in your hands. That's a huge responsibility.
It is. It certainly is. And there's a big difference between the financial aspects and the custody aspects. Most people understand dollars and cents, and they understand cost benefit analysis when it comes to splitting up assets. It's sort of math, right? Like so you put it all on the table and you split it up, and who gets 50% of what and how you're going to divide this, and you might barter some things, but there's not a huge emotional connection. But when it comes to custody and it comes to keeping kids safe, if there's some sort of mental health issue or addiction issue or physical danger, when it comes to those issues, you really do have to go to the mat, unfortunately. And sometimes it can be very costly and it can be very hard. and it can be very lengthy. And, you really do have to have an attorney who can handle that, because the conflict is constant. It is a constant conflict with clients, with the judges, with the other attorneys, with the other parties. Sometimes there's pro se litigants. And if your attorney can't handle that and can't compartmentalize that, they're not going to get you where you need to be.
Yeah, I can imagine that sometimes that thing alone actually prolongs the conflict. So there are so many moving pieces. Speaking of children, was there when you were younger, when you were a young girl, 10, 12 years old, is there a moment that stands out for you where you felt like I'm on top of the world, like I don't know if you'd have feelings of being in control like you do now in a courtroom during a trial, let's say, but was there something like either you're pretending to be a teacher or did you play sports or was there any such moment where you felt like powerful?
So I definitely, I'm not a shy person. Anyone that knows me will tell you I have somewhat of a commanding personality. It's funny, people often tell me I'm intimidating, and I don't see it, because for me, I think I'm a big teddy bear, but I guess that doesn't come across well. But I would say, like, in high school and middle school, I definitely had a commanding personality. I liked to be the center of attention. I liked to entertain everyone. I liked to make people laugh. So I was played sports. I ended up captain on my sports teams. So I would definitely say I took a leadership role very early on in life, and I've always sort of continued that. I don't, I'm not a huge follower. I like to sort of blaze the trail myself, and I think my personality fits that. Um, but yeah, that's what I would say. It was definitely clear to me early on that I was going to be a louder, more outspoken, more driven person.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So it almost feels like you are in alignment between how you were then and what you do now.
Exactly. So I may not have known I was going to end up here, but I was sort of training for it all along.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love hearing that because most people are they have some sort of anxiety, some sort of fear, just being sort of, there's a fragility to being a human being, and now everything is just sort of at your fingertips, right, with the social media, and so you can't like escape sort of. I mean, it's you have to navigate the world very differently these days, and to hear you say, you know what, yeah, I'm a loud force, and that's just who I am. I know you're a softie on the inside, though. You have a beautiful heart. Um, you've been a driving force behind Team O'Grady in a walk to end Alzheimer's disease for over a decade now. You've raised over $150,000. Can you share why is this so dear to your heart?
Yes. So my father unfortunately was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2009, in March of 2009. He had had a heart attack in the end of 2008, and in the process of having heart surgery and recovering, they discovered he had probably had Alzheimer's for a few years. And the heart attack kind of pushed him up, several stages. So he was then now at the end stages. And as part of that, my mother was his caretaker, and she started to fail, medically and health wise. She was failing because she was focused on taking care of him. So my sister and I decided we would get my mother involved in the Alzheimer's Association. They have support groups and caregiver support groups. So we decided that we would bring her to a caregiver support group. And we both sat on the two sides of her because, as anybody knows, Irish Catholic generally don't seek out help or therapy or counseling or anything like that. It's sort of a long-standing joke in my family, but we brought her to the support caregiver group, and she started going, and she went every single week for the entire time she was taking care of my dad. And for me, I needed the support also in a different way. And it wasn't the caregiver support group wasn't going to work for me, but the way I needed support, I wanted to give back, and I wanted to help them because they essentially saved her life. So I started Team O'Grady in 2011 with my sister and my brother. And and my nieces actually. In 2011, my dad was actually able to come to the walk, which was incredible. They do the walk every October, and that was the last one he was able to go to. And we have done it every year since. And we've done all types of different fundraisers. We've done parties, we've done pocketbook bingos, we've done Super Bowl issues. So we've raised a lot of money that's gone to, the support that the Alzheimer's Association gives to the people in the community, and also their referral bases, and most importantly, research. Because, when my dad was diagnosed, I didn't know anybody that had ever had Alzheimer's in my entire life. I never knew anybody directly. I never had any contact. I didn't know anybody whose family member had it. And when he was diagnosed, now anyone I talk to, there's someone in their family, there's someone in their life, there's a neighbor, there's somebody that has it, there's multiple people that have it. So the it's almost rampant. It's like an epidemic. And I don't know if it's environmental or whatever it is, but it's something that we need to figure out, because it's a horrible disease. It is a very scary and horrible disease for the person that has it, and it's incredibly hard on the family.
Thank you for raising that awareness. And also, making realize that you are not alone. That alone can be really, really scary
Yeah.
as a caregiver, and just facing it, on your own, not knowing what to do, who to turn to. What do you have planned for this year? So it's coming up in October then also?
Yeah, so the walk is October. It's usually the third, I think it's the third weekend in October. The great thing about the Alzheimer's Association is they actually do this nationwide. So I'm involved in the Rockland chapter, which is where I'm from. And that's where we sign up as Team O'Grady in the Rockland chapter. Our walk is Sunday, October 20th. But there's walks all over the country. There's a walk in Westchester. There's in all the different counties in the 9th Judicial District. There's all over the country. I think like the New York City walk is the biggest of all of the walks. And it's just a nice way to come together and remember my dad. He passed away in 2013, unfortunately. So it's a good way for my family and our friends to get together and remember him in a positive way, and do something that might actually, pay it forward to somebody else. Because there's a lot of people struggling with it. And I do get a lot of questions often, because I guess I'm well known to be involved in it. So people do call me and reach out, just, how do I set up Medicaid services? How do I get hospice involved? How do I figure out where the caregiver meetings are? All of those things. And I'm happy to put them in the right direction. It's a fantastic organization, and what they do for families going through a horrendous time in their lives. It's really there's no words. I can't even thank them enough for what they did for my family.
Wow. We'll definitely post a link to it in the show notes for sure. That is a tremendous cause. Talking about October, and then I know there is I think, at least I remember that there's a certain date that you're into. I believe you love Halloween, don't you?
I do love Halloween. I
That
actually,
is,
oddly, I don't like I don't like the costume part of it, but I have
yeah,
this thing about haunted houses. I think
I know
they,
you do. I know you. I remembered it. What's the
yes.
scariest haunted house you've ever been to?
Um, the scariest one I've ever been to was actually in Greene County in East Durham. It was in the Blackthorn Ranch in East Durham, and it was very, not publicized, anything like that. We sort of came upon it. But the reason it was so scary was they were able to touch you in the house. So as you're going through the house, people are grabbing your legs or grabbing your arms and crawling all
God.
over the ground. So it was, I mean, for me, the emotion of being scared, basically witless, and then laughing, it's such an amazing emotion. It's such a range of emotion. It's really fun for me. There was obviously something wrong with me, but I really enjoy it. And my two nieces really enjoy it as well. So that's been our thing, since they've been little, that I take the two of them to haunted houses, and we just get our pants scared off of us as much as we possibly can. But that, I'd say, was the scariest. The other really, really good one that's all year round is in Passaic, New Jersey. It's called, oh, I'm going to forget the name of it. It's, Brighton Asylum.
Oh,
And they do them themed. So they have a Halloween one for, most of September, October. But then they have a Christmas one, they have a Valentine's one, they have a St. Patrick's Day one. And so you can really go all year round, which is just amazing in my book.
Amazing. I am like, oh, heck no.
Oh, I'll get you to one, Denisa. You'll enjoy it. You'll come with me.
Mm. We'll bring a camera. Okay, I'll get stuck in there. You'll have to retrieve me. Oh my God. See, I can like I'm thinking about like scary movies. I'm such a little scaredy cat. I mean, I can't even watch scary movies. I mean, the way but there's something intriguing. I agree with what you said, the range of emotions. Like I could watch scary movie with someone with a pillow like over my face and just kind of like peek and then just look away. It's just, yeah, it's, oh my God.
So it's
I
the
actually,
interesting the interesting
yeah,
thing is I can't watch scary movies. I can go
really?
through a haunted house. I swear I cannot watch a scary movie. I can't even see like a scary movie trailer. I get completely freaked out and I can't sleep. But I can go through a haunted house. I don't understand it, but
Wow.
that's what it is.
That is so funny. Wow. That is interesting. Talking about your nieces, I think you shared with me that you do something really pretty special. Um, Tell me about what you do with them. I don't know if it's around their birthday, but like maybe you just started doing that, sort of like taking them through certain experience.
So I found early on the kids kind of had everything they needed, right? There wasn't
Yeah.
buying them presents, it was buying them a toy that was going to get used and broken or whatever. So I started, instead of getting them presents, I had an experience with each of them. And I did it separately with each of them so that we had our own things. My younger niece was very much into theater when she was younger, so I would bring her to see Broadway plays or things of that sort. My older niece was into amusement parks; she loved amusement parks, so I brought her to on for big occasions. We would do trips for big milestone birthdays, and then even just for their regular birthdays, instead of buying them presents or you know items, I would try to do something where we got to spend some time together and really enjoy something together. And it's just created so many amazing memories between us all. And now they're older. One has just turned 21, and the younger one just turned 19, actually yesterday. Happy birthday, Shane.
Happy birthday.
So it's a little bit harder for us to all get together because they're in college now, but I do try to visit them once a semester at each of their schools, and we travel together several times throughout the year. But I just find it's a much more meaningful experience for them, and it's more memorable for all of us rather than giving them a gift card or giving them a
Oh yeah.
some sort of gift.
That is so beautiful. You inspired me to do that. I do have my granddaughter is turning 12, and I thought the same thing. And my
Yeah,
daughter, yeah, it's just it's investing in experience as opposed to stuff. Yeah, that's
yeah.
wow. Lucky. They're
And
lucky.
she'll
That's
remember it, and my
yeah,
nieces, they still remember all of the trips we've taken, all the different things we've done. They remember it, and it's just so much more special.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. Wow. What I don't know if you can ever like take a day and not work, but let me ask you this. What if you couldn't work? If you had no access to your phone, if you had a day to yourself, what would you do?
Oh, if I had a day to myself. Well, I love a foot spa. I do love a foot massage. And that's one of the things I do with my nieces too. So if I had a day to myself at home, that's what I would probably do. I would have just a relaxing day, and I'd probably take my dog for a big long walk. Um,
Mhm.
and if I was able to travel and not, be tethered to my computer, my favorite place to travel, and this is going to be very stereotypical, but I love to go to Ireland and discover new places, new towns, new experiences. I actually am just coming back a few weeks ago from a trip to Ireland that I think might have been one of my best vacations yet. So there's so
What
many
made it?
cool places in Ireland.
Yeah. What made it one of the best vacations?
So one of the things was that it was a great group of people. So I organized a tour, essentially through a tour company, and I kind of filled the bus with people. So it was the people that were on it were incredible. There were a lot of family and friends, all very close people, and people that just went with the flow and were up for anything. And the tour guide, it's Lally Tours in Ireland. They do an incredible job with planning and organizing. And he really knocked it out of the park. We did some of the craziest things, the things I never thought I would be doing. Um, and it was 10 days. And at the end of it, he said, "What was your favorite part?" And I was like, "You know what? I can't tell you, because every day you have topped it. And I can't even, as I sit here today, say what my favorite part was, because it was all so incredible. And I discovered 2 new towns that I hadn't been to. Um, I saw a dog trainer training sheepdogs in the off in like a field, and we actually got to see the dogs chase the sheep around the field. Um, we went on a speedboat around the west coast of Ireland, all around the outer islands, which was like 2.5 hours, and we probably saw 100+ seal and maybe 50 dolphin while we were out there. Um, I took a seaweed bath in the Aran Islands, which was incredible. I got a massage in a beautiful spa in Killarney. We listened to amazing music. It was just incredible. It was 12 action-packed days, or 10 action-packed days of just fun and laughs and beautiful sights and scenery. It was just incredible.
Okay. You are this powerhouse lawyer, litigator, and then and there are many interesting people with many interesting, or I should say, many layers to them and personal stories. Yours, your even your storytelling though it's incredibly colorful, and as you're describing the experience, it's drawing me in, and so you're super interesting individual. That is such a gift. I want to come. I want to come with you next time. Like I
I
am
will
like
tell you, I'm a lot of fun to go on vacation with.
I
I
can
have a
tell.
great time. I enjoy myself. My motto is work hard, play hard. And we only have one life to live, and it can change in the blink of an eye. And I saw that with my parents. My dad was fine one day, and the next day he was not, and he was never fine again. So if I my personal motto is, if you can do it, do it. Say yes, do it, try it, do anything you can do, and because one day you're not going to get a choice. So
that is a great segue to my final question is really and I'm sure you're such a great resource to other incoming attorneys and a great example. What advice would you give them?
Um, I would say that it's a very tough, particularly in matrimonial law. I'll specify it to that. It's a very tough field, and you have to have a thick skin, and you have to be able to compartmentalize, because oftentimes you might. I mean, there's days where I just get yelled at all day long by sometimes my own clients, sometimes the judge, sometimes the other client. It's a very, very combative practice. I don't think it has to be. It doesn't have to be that combative, but for some reason, and most people have this idea of matrimonial attorneys. Some attorneys are more litigious than they need to be, I would think. Um, but you have to sort of have that thick skin and have to be able to take it, and you can't take it personally.
Mm,
It can't You can't get derailed because something went south. You can't get derailed because somebody yelled at you. You can't get upset. You can't kind of crack under those types of interactions. So that's the advice that I would give, is to make sure this is the area of law that you want, because it's not for everybody. I think I thrive in it. I don't know. Again, that might say something really bad about me. Um, or maybe it says something good. I don't know. But I think some people don't necessarily thrive in this area, and there's probably another type of law that's better suited to them. And for younger attorneys, I would say go to court as much as you possibly can,
mm.
and watch people in action, and watch judges in action, and watch attorneys in action, because that's the best way to see what you should do and what you shouldn't, is seeing
That's
it
a
in
great
action.
advice. Yeah, immerse yourself in that experience. No, I don't think
Yep.
that says anything bad about you. I think you don't necessarily you're not combative, but you don't you strike me as someone who does not shy away from the conflict. That you didn't create it, it was there, and you're leaning into it and are able to guide your clients through this transition. So having that thick skin, and that's at least my perception, is to take care of yourself so that you do not lose the sense of yourself in a process, and being able to rationally, guide your clients to some sort of a resolution.
Absolutely.
So this has been a treat. I feel like we're just getting warmed up, and but yes, I
Now
will
we have
take
to
you.
plan our trip together, Denisa.
I was just gonna say I'll have to take you up on that, because that's just too much fun and a great reminder to really truly not just talk about it, but really truly cherish every single day and experience all that you can, if that's important to you. And so that was a gift. Thank you so much for sharing your story
Thank
here
you.
today.
And Denise,
And
I'll give you one last nugget.
yes,
And someone else told me this, and I've lived by it ever since.
yeah.
If you're coming back from vacation and you don't have another vacation planned, you need to book something while you're coming home so that you always have something to look forward to. And since I got told that about 15 years ago, I have lived by that. And I always have something on the horizon.
So what's next for you?
Next, I have two little ones. I'm going to see my nieces at college. And then I have a cruise in December. So there's always something out there for me to be happy about and be excited about.
Yeah. It's like you're writing your own book. You're basically designing your chapters. It's really simple. I mean, it sounds so complicated, but it's simple. You're doing it. And, instead of a ton of excuses why you couldn't. I think the hardest time, and I read that somewhere, to travel is to make that first step outside of your front door and then just continue to make those steps.
Yes,
This is great.
exactly.
Yeah. No, thank you. And to our viewers and listeners, to learn more about Siobhan and how to get a hold of her, make sure that you click on her bio link below, and then also strongly consider supporting the Alzheimer's Association, an amazing cause, and we'll definitely post all of that into the show notes. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media links. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.